Hello everyone. So I'm just going to go through the list or symptoms of low progesterone in this video. Recently I uploaded a video on how to use topical progesterone, like how to apply it, what kind of dosages. So hopefully you got a chance to check that out. But here we're just going to go through a list of the different signs and symptoms of low progesterone, just so people have a clear idea. On this YouTube channel last week, I did a summary of progesterone, just to help you understand everything in a more kind of context summarized version. But I want to just list these symptoms now. And overall, when progesterone is low, you're just going to feel rubbish. You're not going to feel yourself. And when we have low progesterone, it can put us into this state of higher estrogen or estrogen dominance. There's no progesterone to offset the estrogen. Doesn't mean you have loads of excess estrogen. It just means that the ratio is not there. You don't have the opposing progesterone to estrogen. So in all, most people will feel rubbish. The biggest symptoms with low progesterone are that we generally will have increased anxiety and irritability and even feelings of malaise and lethargy. We've got this kind of excessive adrenaline response happening in the body. So high cortisol, high adrenaline, just feeling wired, tired, stressed, overwhelmed, flustered all the time, like not knowing my left to my right. I have a list of to-dos. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I don't know what to start with, so I'm going to do nothing. That kind of idea. A lot of agitation and irritability, snapping at loved ones, snapping at your partner unintentionally. This is just that response because your body is in such a wired state, because progesterone is our calming, sanity, anti-anxiety, really relaxation, helps us see sense and not kill people. Hormone helps with vitality and feeling alive and fertility and all that. So when we have the low progesterone, we can also feel what's called anhedonia, which is the inability to experience joy. Back to that feeling of malaise and I'm okay, and that feeling of loneliness and sadness and weepiness. I speak to a lot of women who will just cry randomly and they don't know why, and they just can't control that feeling of the emotional state, the sadness. Everything makes them weepy, feeling insecure, low confidence. A lot of sleep issues and insomnia when you have low progesterone. So that inability to turn the brain off, but also waking during the night and not being able to fall back asleep, not getting into that deep sleep. And of course, if you're not sleeping, all these other mental health issues and emotions are going to be worse, because sleep is number one. Hot flashes, very common, usually driven by low progesterone, because not only do we not have the opposing progesterone for the estrogen, we also have that higher stress response and probably blood sugar imbalance. PMS and PMDD, so premenstrual dysphoric disorder, women can experience severe PMS, anything ranging from the symptoms of flu to a high histamine response, severe cramps, heavy bleeding, blood clots, pain, sore breasts, migraines, all this really horrible premenses symptoms and issues that many women experience, including the irregular periods. They can either be more frequent or completely absent. We've got anovulation happening. We've got maybe some mid-cycle spotting. As I described to my clients, is the estrogen helps to build your period, but it's the progesterone, that's your hand. That's the hand that holds in the period until your cycle is ready to let go, and then you have your bleed. So when we don't have enough progesterone, that hand is not strong enough, so it's weak, and we start to get this mid-cycle spotting. So we've got that, we've got heavy painful periods, we've got PCOS, super common, has been correlated to low progesterone and made worse when one has low progesterone. Ovarian cysts, fibroids, endometriosis, infertility and miscarriage, very much connected to low progesterone. Back to the hand, if you did get pregnant around ovulation, then the progesterone starts to increase and climb, and we've got high progesterone levels during pregnancy. You need that hand to hold the egg or the fetus in. So low progesterone, very much connected to miscarriage, unfortunately. Low progesterone, low libido, they literally go hand in hand. And that comes back to having like these balanced sex hormones that make you want to be intimate and feeling good and full of vitality in yourself and relaxed. If a woman is not relaxed, the chances of her wanting to be intimate, very, very, very slim. So progesterone is key there. Cyclical headaches, including migraine, not just with the PMS, but part of that stress response and the tension and the contraction of the blood vessels, progesterone is key there. There's a lot of research, and Dr. Platt spoke about this, between the connection between ADD and ADHD, those creative type personalities, those OCD type A, highly driven personalities, and that adrenaline response that very much is controlled by progesterone. We have slow thyroid and metabolism going hand in hand. Generally, when we see low progesterone, we see low thyroid. And vice versa. If we see low thyroid, you can pretty much guess there's low progesterone there as well. Another big one that screams low progesterone to me is when I'm speaking to a client or a follower and they say they have a lot of bloating, but this bloating is different. This bloating will happen after anything. So they wake up in the morning, they're flat, they're feeling slim and tight, and they will just have water and boom, they'll bloat up. So it's not food related, it's not fermentation related. This is progesterone that's causing that bloating to happen. Like, they're bloating on an empty stomach, and that really screams that progesterone to me, and potentially the thyroid. Constipation, of course, because if everything slows down, then that bowel motility slows down as well. Sore joints, and that inflammatory response, the aches and pains, low progesterone, very much. Topical progesterone can be very helpful here, applying it to the areas, maybe the shoulder where it's sore, the elbow, whatever it is. This can be indicative of low progesterone, and again, that stress response that you're stuck in and the inflammatory response. We've got itchy and restless legs. We've got jaw clenching, TMJ, teeth grinding, connected to low progesterone. Dr. Platt speaks about this a lot. A lot of people, restless legs and grinding their teeth at night. Clumsiness, poor coordination, because back to what I was saying about headaches and migraines, if you've got this inflammation, this tension, this contraction of the blood vessels around the neck and the cranium, that is going to throw off your center of balance, and you're going to experience this kind of dizziness and vertigo. So yeah, progesterone can be helpful there. We've also got increased cravings. Many of us experience increased cravings around ovulation in the second half of our cycle, but they can be intensified if the progesterone's low, because progesterone, of course, is our soothing, calming, everything's okay hormone, and if you don't have that, you're going to be looking for that comfort somewhere else, and that's where the cravings and the increased sugar consumption it's not going to help so much in the production of progesterone, but it will help with the dopamine and the serotonin influence that helps us feel good. So if you do have those increased cravings, it can be very much connected to the low progesterone, because progesterone does influence dopamine. And the other influences of dopamine, of course, are going to be food, sugar, exercise, stuff that makes you feel rewarded and you've achieved stuff. And then, of course, increased weight gain, not just from the cravings, but from the whole ripple effect of having low progesterone. The sleep, the inflammation, the stress, the food, the slower metabolism, the thyroid, we can see increased weight gain. There is research showing us that estrogen dominant cancers have been connected to low progesterone, because you don't, again, have the progesterone opposing the estrogen, and depending on the person, their estrogen levels may be very high. There is a connection to low progesterone and neurological issues, not just the ADHD, the ADD that I mentioned, but also syncope, so that abnormal kind of fainting, seizure-like effect that happens to people. There is some research there, and I have shared this with one of my clients who has syncope, showing that low progesterone could be a stimulator of these episodes. Then there's also blood sugar and insulin issues. Progesterone can influence blood sugar and insulin, so it can be helpful there. As you see, there's a lot that low progesterone influences. I think for most women, the biggest thing is going to be the sleep, the insomnia, the anxiety, and then the PMS, menstrual issues. But also, a lot of the time when I mention like being irritable or snapping at your husband or your kids for no reason, that rings home to a lot of women too. And if you stop and you look, well, could I have low progesterone? And if I do, what would be causing that? It can be very helpful for people. So this list, for right now, that's my full list of what I'm looking out for, and hopefully my clients are keeping an eye on. I hope you found it helpful. There's a lot there. I think the ones people wouldn't think of are going to be the likes of ADHD, OCD, but also the jaw clenching and the restless legs are big for low progesterone, and then that bloating for sure. If you're waking up and you're bloating on an empty stomach, or just after water or after anything, that screams low progesterone to me, and potentially the thyroid issues. So I hope you found that helpful, everyone. Have a great day. If you've got questions, pop them in the comments or email me. I'll drop my email address in the description too, and then I'll answer as soon as I can. Okay, bye-bye.